What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Tuesday, April 19th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, NBA playoffs. We have a 3-game slate tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. So despite a poor performance last game, I continue to like Trae Young from the Atlanta Hawks playing the Miami Heat. And Trae Young has averaged 50 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 35% usage rate. He's projected at 50.4 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.4 times value. He's 9,300 DraftKings salary, 200 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 219 points scored in this game. And Trae Young scored 23, 57, and 49 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 28, 40, and 33 minutes. I think he's going to have a big bounce back game here tonight. So I like Trae Young here versus the Miami Heat. Another point guard that I like, especially on DraftKings, is Chris Paul from the Phoenix Suns playing the New Orleans Pelicans. Chris Paul has averaged 40.9 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. He's projected at 46.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.6 times value. He's 8,300 DraftKings salary, but he's 1,300 more on FanDuel. So I'd probably pass on Chris Paul on FanDuel, but I love that DraftKings price, and he scored 64 and 52 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 35 and 37 minutes. Vegas thinks there's going to be 221.5 points scored in this game, so I like Chris Paul here versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, let's take a look at the shooting guard position. I like CJ McCollum from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Phoenix Suns. CJ McCollum has averaged 38.6 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. He's projected at 44.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.4 times value. He's 8,100 DraftKings salary, 300 more on FanDuel, and CJ McCollum has scored 48, 28, and 52 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 43, 42, and 39 minutes. So I like that he's playing monster minutes. Salary is reasonable for his upside, so I like CJ McCollum here versus the Phoenix Suns. Okay, now here's a value play. I like Delon Wright from the Atlanta Hawks playing the Miami Heat, and Delon Wright has scored 21, 12, and 23 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 20, 20, and 18 minutes. Now, value plays are hard to come by in the playoffs, so I think that Delon Wright is in a good spot here, playing around 20 minutes a game, got 20 plus fantasy point upside, and on DraftKings, if he scored, he's projected at 18.9 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.4 times value. So if he scored 20 fantasy points or more, he's going to crush value on DraftKings. He's only 3,500 DraftKings salary. Now he is 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 219 points scored in this game. So I like Delon Wright as a value play here versus the Miami Heat. Okay, let's take a look at the small forward position. Now, this is one of my favorite DraftKings plays on the slate. I like Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Memphis Grizzlies. And Anthony Edwards has averaged 37.4 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 27% usage rate. He's projected at 45.2 fantasy points here tonight, and that's 5.5 times value. He's only $8,200 DraftKings salary. Now he is $1,100 more on FanDuel, so I love that DraftKings price. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 240.5 points scored in this game, so a super high scoring game and a good game to stack. So Anthony Edwards scored 55 and 43 fantasy points in his last two games, playing 40 and 37 minutes. So I like Anthony Edwards here versus the Memphis Grizzlies.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Now I also like Brandon Ingram from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Phoenix Suns. And Brandon Ingram has averaged 40 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 34 minutes per game with a 30% usage rate. He's projected at 41.6 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.3 times value. He's $7,900 DraftKings salary, $200 less on FanDuel. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 221.5 points scored in this game. Brandon Ingram has scored 30, 46, and 40 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 38, 42, and 29 minutes. So I like Brandon Ingram here versus the Phoenix Suns. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. I like John Collins from the Atlanta Hawks playing the Miami Heat. Now, John Collins averaged 32.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 31 minutes per game with a 21% usage rate. He finally came back and got some playing time last game, scored 19 fantasy points in 21 minutes. So this is somewhat of a high risk, high reward pick here. If he can get 25 minutes or more in this game, I think he's going to be able to crush value at low ownership is what I'm guessing, because he hasn't really done much, and he's a risk this game because we don't know how many minutes he's going to play. But he is projected at 27.5 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.4 times value. Now he's $5,100 DraftKings salary, but he is $1,000 more on FanDuel, so I wouldn't play him on FanDuel, but I like that DraftKings price. I think it's worth the risk because he does have 30 plus fantasy point upside if he can get the minutes. So I like John Collins on DraftKings here versus the Miami Heat. Okay, now here's a value play, especially on DraftKings. I like Larry Nance Jr. from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Phoenix Suns. Larry Nance Jr. has averaged 19 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 23 minutes per game with a 13% usage rate. He's projected at 24.2 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's $4,400 DraftKings salary. Now he is $1,100 more on FanDuel. So again, probably wouldn't play him on FanDuel, but I love that DraftKings price. And Larry Nance Jr. scored 28 and 46 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 19 and 24 minutes. So I like Larry Nance Jr. on DraftKings here versus the Phoenix Suns. Okay, moving on to the center position. Oh, and guys, stay tuned. After I finish my picks at the center position, I'm going to go into another tool that we have in Draft Dashboard that shows the top salary differences on players between sites. So I can show you the picks that are on DraftKings that are underpriced and the picks that are on FanDuel that are underpriced. In the playoffs especially, it seems like DraftKings and FanDuel, their pricing is quite different between some players. So you can use that tool to take advantage depending on what site you're playing on. Okay, so at the center position, a stud pick here, Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the Memphis Grizzlies. Karl Anthony Towns has averaged 46.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate. He's projected at 52.5 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.5 times value. He's 9,500 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel, and Karl Anthony Towns scored 53 fantasy points last game, played 42 minutes, and we know Vegas thinks this is going to be a high-scoring game, 240.5 points scored in this game. So I like Karl Anthony Towns here versus the Memphis Grizzlies.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, I also like Jonas Valanciunas from the New Orleans Pelicans playing the Phoenix Suns. Jonas Valanciunas averaged 38.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 24% usage rate. He's projected at 43.1 fantasy points here tonight, and on DraftKings, that's 5.7 times value. He's 7,500 DraftKings salary. He's 1,000 more on FanDuel, so I love that DraftKings price. Jonas Valanciunas scored 55, 19, and 50 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 30, 25, and 36 minutes. So he's got 50 plus fantasy point upside for only 7,500 DraftKings salary. Lots of upside with Jonas Valanciunas here versus the Phoenix Suns. Another guy I think's a little underpriced here, especially on DraftKings, is DeAndre Ayton from the Phoenix Suns playing the New Orleans Pelicans. DeAndre Ayton averaged 35 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 22% usage rate. He's projected at 38.9 fantasy points here tonight. That's 5.4 times value. He's 7,200 DraftKings salary, 900 more on FanDuel, and DeAndre Ayton scored 43 and 45 fantasy points in the last 2 games, playing 34 minutes in each of those games. So I like DeAndre Ayton here versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Okay, so let's go over to that tool I was talking about that shows the salary differences. You go to the menu and you're going to click on Player Trends. There's a bunch of tabs up here. We're looking at salary difference, where you can find value from FanDuel and DraftKings pricing differences. So, all right, so we are on the DraftKings site. We're on the DraftKings icon here. So this is showing the DraftKings salary, but then it also shows how much more they are on FanDuel.
So you can see Chris Paul is $8,300 DraftKings salary, and he's $1,300 more on FanDuel. Larry Nance Jr. is $4,400 DraftKings salary, $1,100 more on FanDuel. Anthony Edwards is $8,200 DraftKings salary, $1,100 more on FanDuel. John Collins, $5,100 DraftKings salary, $1,000 more on FanDuel. Jonas Valanciunas is $7,500 DraftKings salary, $1,000 more on FanDuel. DeAndre Ayton, $7,200 and $900 more on FanDuel. So this is the top, top 6 players in price difference between DraftKings and FanDuel. So this is just a quick way you could come to this tool, salary difference, go to the site that you want to play on, and you can take a look at these players right here where you're going to get the most salary savings on DraftKings over FanDuel. It's a really good way to pick out some top talent that is underpriced on this site. So let's flip over to FanDuel and let's see who we got. So now this one, just be careful of this one, Victor Oladipo. He is only $3,500 FanDuel salary, and I thought he was going to get some minutes. So I had him on my radar a couple videos ago, last game that they played on FanDuel, because he's only $3,500 FanDuel salary. They have him priced up $2,000 on DraftKings, but he didn't play any minutes. So I'm not sure if he's going to play any minutes here tonight. Now, if he does play some minutes, then he's going to be a steal on FanDuel, but too much risk there because he can go out there and put up a donut. But here's one, the next one, Dylan Brooks is only $5,300 FanDuel salary, and he's $900 more on DraftKings. So Dylan Brooks would be a good FanDuel play. And then Tyus Jones, only $4,200 FanDuel salary, $900 more on DraftKings. So he's a good FanDuel play. Desmond Bane, only $5,600 FanDuel salary, $800 more on DraftKings. So he's a good FanDuel play. JaVale McGee at $3,900 FanDuel salary, $600 more on DraftKings. But I'll be looking at Dylan Brooks, Tyus Jones, and Desmond Bane. Those guys are looking like pretty decent value plays on FanDuel. So I like this tool right here. You just go to the menu, you go to player trends, and then you go salary difference. And that's going to show you the difference in salary between the two sites, and it ranks them from most to least. So you can instantly see the guys right at the top that have the biggest salary difference, so you can find those cheap plays for the site you play on.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video, or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.